3 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thank you so much for being on board with us. Lots to get to on today's program. We'll talk College World Series finals. They get underway tomorrow night out in Omaha, Nebraska, Coastal Carolina, and LSU. Neither one of them lost. Coastal was never really threatened. LSU most certainly was, and yet they ultimately passed the test. Or did Arkansas fail?
I think Arkansas certainly failed in their own right. I mean, collapse of the year?
Maybe, man, considering the stage. We'll get into that in a second, and we'll certainly see what our good friend Mitch Light thinks about that. He was out in Omaha covering the series, and he'll take us through his predictions and thoughts on what we saw from a couple of things that are going on around college baseball. Gamecocks continue to add to the portal. We'll get into that for you as well. NBA Finals. Look, sometimes I joke and say, hey, did the team that got their butt kicked even know there was a game? I'm not the only person out there who has, in some form or fashion, at least on the Twitters, said, this is a dangerous game you play if you just think you'd rather win at home and you decide not to bring it. I'll go ahead and give you the stat I found. I counted it to make sure I was right about this, too. In fact, before I do, and this isn't like to quiz you, Elijah Campbell, as a basketball expert.
I love being quizzed.
I admit that you are most definitely more knowledgeable about the NBA game than I, really about all of basketball, based on how much I realize you know now and how long I've known you. And I think I know some.
But, you know a lot.
But you know ball. But you know more.
Jay Phillips, certified ball knower.
This is the 78th official NBA Finals. Would you like to guess? Maybe you already know, and if you do, that's fine. Would you like to guess what Game 7 this will be of the 78 NBA Finals?
This will be what, 21?
20.
20. Dang.
That's it, man.
And I know the road team's only won 4 of them, ever.
I mean, the NBA Finals just don't typically go to 7. One team is better than the other. We have a few sweeps here and there. Most of them go 6. You look at Jordan. I think Jordan had, of his 6 titles, 5 of them went to 6 games. One of them was a 4-1.
It was a Seattle one, right?
I think it was Seattle.
I
think it was Seattle. Might
have been.
I think it was the first of the second 3. The 4th one overall, I believe. Regardless, it just doesn't happen very often. And in this series, as fun as it's been to see what Indiana's doing, they shouldn't have lost the other night. Or Oklahoma City shouldn't have lost the other night. I mean, you gotta do better than that. I don't know. Look, I applaud the Pacers' effort. It's a home game. Tyrese Halliburton's playing injured. Pascal Siakam looked fantastic. A lot of people saying if the Pacers go on to win this series, that it won't be Tyrese that becomes the MVP of the finals. It'll be the former, not even real person, Pascal Siakam.
Right. I think what better way to turn people into Pascal Siakam truthers than to become an NBA Finals MVP?
If you know, you know, and if not, I'll try to tell you later. That's an inside joke with me as the butt of the joke.
A long running bit.
Anyway, terrific performance, and then obviously, I think Rick Carlisle said, "All right, boys, take the brakes off. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine."
Towards the end of the game.
They were winning by 30 something. And it ended up being, 18? What was the final?
It ended up being 18.
Yeah. And so, again, I don't know what OKC was doing, but, if you I'm not predicting this, but if you mentally let yourself go as badly as they did last night, because that's what they did. This was not a basketball thing.
No.
Losing is one thing. You were trounced. You were not in the game.
You were sloppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the most turnovers I think they've had in a postseason.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention to your job. And your job last night was to go win the NBA championship. That was your job last night. And you failed miserably. Yes, you get another opportunity. But again, very dangerous game.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana has won in your building. Yes, you won in their building too, but you didn't last night. So we'll see. Sunday, Game 7. Again, only the 20th Game 7 in 78 NBA Finals. So should be a good one. I think OKC has been installed as an 8.5-point favorite, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that'll be part of Jay versus the Internet coming up later on the show.
When I saw the line, when I made it, for the tweets for it, it was down to 7.5, and now it's down to 6.5.
Oh, All right. Belief.
The public is
In the Pacers.
hammering home the Pacers. The Pacers, we're going into Game 7 of this, and as much as the line has gone down right now, it will not go down to where the Pacers will be favored. That would be stunning. That might trigger some investigations, actually. But I find it fascinating that in all 7 of these games, the Thunder were at least 4.5-point favorites in all of them.
Yeah. Pretty sure our good friend John Whittle is a Pacers fan. So
He is.
He's feeling good.
I'll be feeling really good. With this team right now, I mean, has there been a team that didn't win more than 51 games in the NBA regular season that you have as much belief in, no
Probably
matter
not,
what
man.
the score is in the game in the first 2.5, 3 quarters?
Without
than
going
the
back to
Indiana
look,
Pacers?
I can't think of anybody.
Like-
but, I mean, good for them. And like I say, Oklahoma City, I think you failed last night as much as Indiana succeeded because you had a chance as the supposedly better team to win the NBA.
And I think the most fun part about this team too, and for basketball lovers, right? For people who love the sport of basketball, like truly believe it's the ultimate team sport. Like this Pacers team is the perfect embodiment of that. If I would have told you, Jay Phillips, at like 3:00 yesterday, that Obi Toppin was going to be the leading scorer for Indiana, you probably would have thought they were getting beat by 40.
Yeah, maybe.
That not Pascal Siakam, not Tyrese Halliburton, not Aaron Nesmith or Andrew Nembhard or Miles Turner. Obi Toppin off the bench would be the team's leading scorer, and they win the game. Like this team is so much better than the sum of its parts.
Yeah,
the whole
I agree.
is incredible. Like this is a great basketball team from 1 through 5 in the starting lineup, all the way down to the first 4 or 5 guys off of the bench. T.J. McConnell had another great night last night. He's really channeling his inner J.J. Barea from 2011, another Rick Carlisle coach team.
Yeah, nice.
But he's having a phenomenal last couple of games. Even in the game they lost in Game 5, T.J. McConnell was incredible, really stepped up. Those are the type of guys that you need to win NBA championships.
Good for them. We'll see. Again, Sunday, Game 7. Somebody's going to take home the, what is it, the Davey O'Brien trophy?
The Larry O'Brien.
Larry O'Brien.
Larry O.
Who's Davey O'Brien?
That name sounds so familiar. I know. Davey O'Brien definitely was a person.
I don't know. I should have just said. I should have just gone with what I knew for sure, that it was the O'Brien trophy. Yeah, Davey O'Brien.
I'm
sounds
looking that
fun.
up.
I think it's Larry. You know how like people have names? It's Larry and then like quotations Davey.
I want to say Davey O'Brien is a trophy that you win in college football. Yeah, the Davey O'Brien Award.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that a quarterback?
A quarterback award, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, let's see that.
And it is a trophy.
Yeah.
So you are not wrong
that
exists as an entity, as a thing. It's just not what the NBA champion gets.
Yeah, you know what? Give them that too.
Why not?
What the hell?
Hey, if you're not a top 3 seed and you end up winning the NBA championship, I mean, I think you do deserve the Davey O'Brien trophy too.
And if Tyrese becomes, instead of Pascal, if they win, if Tyrese gets it, then he's like a quarterback of sorts. He's a point guard. Give it to him.
Exactly.
We'll
Tyrese Halliburton will get the Davey
we'll
O'Brien.
Find a way to make all of this work. Anyway, so we'll touch on that for you coming up in just a little bit too. Gamecock news, big recruiting weekend. Our own Cale Wilson is down at Carolina camp. They've got, again, a couple of 5-stars on campus this weekend, I believe. A couple of 4-stars on campus this
Duckworth
weekend.
is on campus.
Duckworth is here. The lean, people say the lean is to Carolina right now. But anyway, a big weekend. Don't know, if we get commitments from guys like this weekend or not.
Would be cool.
It is. It's always nice, and you're always cautious these days when you get a commitment.
Backing out of a commitment in college football has never been easier.
It's become kind of a thing, so we'll keep an eye on that. But Cale will join us around 4. Is that right? Give or take.
I told him 4:30.
4:30. Well, that's around 4.
That is.
Yeah.
It's within the hour.
Yeah, that counts. All right, good. That gives him more time to cover.
The best part about the word around is that you give yourself a lot of leeway.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah, around-ish.
Yeah.
In the ballpark.
Especially on a Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah. And today, it's good because we have Top 5 Friday is back, kids. It's been a little while. Today is the 50th, which is really hard to believe. Today is the 50th anniversary of the release of Jaws. And look, most of you have probably seen Jaws. I think we've all I feel like that's one of those movies, right? Like everybody's seen Jaws. I feel like not everybody.
You can't spoil Jaws because it's been around long enough.
Yeah. There's a shark. How's that? I don't want to say too much. Anyway,
be eating some folks.
Yeah. So in honor of Jaws, Elijah and I have decided to ask you your top 5. And we say scary, doesn't have to be like a full-on, because Jaws is not what I would call a horror movie. We're not looking for blood and guts and gore and monsters. And so scary, but Jaws is definitely scary.
Yes.
But it's not a horror movie. So we're not going for just a horror movie. But top 5 scariest movies involving, like, where basically a real animal
is the antagonist.
Is the. So, what do you got? And we've got some really good ones already. So hit us now. It's time to start filling up the text line 803-404-6100 Firehouse Subs text line. We've gotten a lot of hits on Twitter already. I put that out earlier this morning. So if you've already contributed, thank you. Our good friends David Cloninger, Ben Portnoy, Ryan Brewer, Brad Muller has weighed in. So we've got some of those guys, and we want yours too. So there's a few. Those of you who are new to Top 5 Friday, we're not really strict as like judges and jurors with this, No. But there are a few things.
Fears.
So like Elijah and I talked about it this morning. So we're not looking for no Godzilla movies, no King Kong movies. We're kind of like, okay, were there dinosaurs? Yes. But we're kind of looking more for the modern era animal.
Yeah.
So,
animals that aren't extinct.
Yeah, so we're not really going for dinosaurs. We did have a couple of people say gremlins, which is, again, not what we're going for, but I can't really go back on that now.
It's kind of loose in there because technically gremlins look like Furbies. If you remember the old Furby toys.
I do.
Because my older sister had a lot of Furby toys.
Yeah.
And those things would scare me.
Yeah.
They freaked me out a little bit. Like, have you ever slept in a room full of Furbies and they're all just kind of looking at you?
No, I haven't done that.
Got that.
I haven't done that.
Smug look on their face.
Right.
Can be a little scary.
Just don't get them wet.
And then they turn into gremlins.
So we did have a couple of those. We're probably not going to allow it, but we're trying to keep it. Again, Jaws is a shark, and without saying other titles, even though some of them are very famous movies, if it's a snake, another type of fish, almost any current earthly reptile will be fine. Dogs, cats.
I do have
large cats, small cats.
Yeah, I do have some that kind of go into that gray area because they are mutated animals, but they are the same animal nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's just they're amplified versions of themselves.
Yeah. So again, we're okay with some of it, and then we had fun with, like, do we allow for Planet of the Apes? Because to a lot of people, that's a scary movie. Now again, not jump scare, horror, frightening movie, but like scary as in, this could happen. And that's kind of scary. So did we ever come to a real conclusion on Planet of the Apes?
I think we kind of left that one in limbo.
If you want to say Planet of the Apes, you know what? We'll allow it.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
We're just trying to draw a few lines. So again, that you don't put like, a werewolf,
Jurassic Park,
or some crazy like Alien, like the alien from Alien.
Yeah, Predator.
Yeah, those kind of things. Like, and again, I'd put Jurassic Park at the top if we ever include dinosaurs.
Pet Cemetery, it's they're animals, but they're undead animals that don't come back the same way. They left you.
Right. Like there is another Stephen King movie that is making the rounds. That's on my list as well. And that one counts. So, Top 5 Friday, top 5 scariest movies involving real animals as the antagonist. That's a great way to put it from Elijah Campbell. All right, we got a lot more to do. We'll get into that for you. And by the way, there's no start bench drop today. It'll just be all Top 5 Friday. Mitch Light coming up at 3:30, but before that, Elijah and I's take on what happened the other night with LSU and Arkansas. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
This time he beats it into the ground. Aloy will go to third, and he gets the out. Did they have a chance to get two? He went to third to get the lead runner, foregoed any chance of a double play.
Yes, they had a chance to get two.
They're turning two on this ball, KP. Like, to me, this is a no-doubter. 6-4-3. I mean, look where Milam wasn't even at the runner's lane when Fahiva decides to throw this ball to third base. Look where he's at when he decides. He's not even in the picture.
That's the ESPN broadcast crew, Carl Ravitch and KP and Chris Burke on Wednesday night as Arkansas got the perfect ground ball. And perhaps the best shortstop in the country, at least at the collegiate level, Fahiva Aloy of Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, the best in the SEC, regardless. I don't care if you're the best, the 10th best, the 100th best. That was a tailor-made double play ball. You really could not have drawn up a better double play ball. And he chose not to turn it. I don't get it. Jay and Elijah with you here on this Friday afternoon. Mitch Light will be with us coming up in a little bit to talk more about the College World Series. By the way, real quick, happy first day of summer officially.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah. So there you go. Longest day of the year.
It's been mentally, it's been summer for me for forever.
I see. Well, that's nice. Like Phineas and Ferb.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The minute I can wear shorts and a t-shirt outside, it's summer mentally.
Well, I should say the longest day of the year in this hemisphere.
I used to work with a guy, his name's Joe Dubin, back in Nashville all the time. Anytime somebody would say it's the longest day of the year and the first day of the summer, he would give you a look. He said, buddy, they're all 24 hours.
Fair. Ooh, true. Yeah, sunlight. Most sunlight.
Most sunlight. There you go.
There it is. That's a fair point. Who said that?
Joe Dubin.
And he's right. Look, I don't want to go too crazy with like how I felt about that play, but I don't care how much baseball you watch. In my case, I watch a lot of baseball. And seriously, Elijah, within a half a second, I was like, there it is. They're going to win.
It's one of those off the bat.
And you hear Chris Burke in that clip we just played say, or I can't remember if it was Chris or KP now, like he wasn't even in the running lane. I was telling you, I think everybody associated with the broadcast was so surprised that, one of the things I do love about the College World Series is how seriously ESPN takes it. So they got cameras everywhere.
They do a fantastic job.
And one of the cameras they had was kind of that shallow left field corner camera that's looking back across the field. And on that shot, when they showed that, I hate to say this, it's even more glaring as to the mistake that Aloy made in not turning the double play. Because your second baseman, as you heard Chris Burke say again, I keep doing that, they're turning two there, KP. I mean, it was tailor-made.
Mm-hmm.
The second baseman is already on the bag. He's already prepared to make his turn. I know this is a weird analogy to make, but there's a scene in Return of the Jedi when Wedge is flying into the second Death Star, and he's like, I'm already on my way out. And he's not even around it yet. Like, he's already in there. He's like, I'm already on my way out. Like, I've got my flight pattern here for you. I know what I'm doing. That's the second baseman. I'm already turning this play, bro. Just give me the ball.
Mm-hmm. Everybody in the infield knew.
And the runner,
but him.
The runner, when Aloy fielded the ball, the runner was not even halfway down the line yet. You were going to get him by a full stride as long as you make the proper toss over there. And it's interesting to me, too, as a baseball observer, the play that he made. Look, it's not – I don't want to sit here and go, what a dumb idea. It's not in the sense that it's a smart play if you just think, I've got to get the lead guy. But in terms of the logistics of the play, that's a harder play to make because that's an awkward throw. Your body, when you're right-handed, I mean, look, let's face it, that's why infielders are right-handed other than first baseman. It's just the natural progression of where the ball is allows you to do things, anyway.
Most of the throwing is going to your left.
Yeah. And in that case, you got to stop. And that's any of you that have played, that tweener throw is not always easy. That's why a lot of second basemen get the yips, like Steve Sachs, back in the day. Sometimes that little tweener throw, you just gotta. It's not as easy to make as it seems. I just can't understand what was going through his head. And for those who also say, well, Jay, what about a couple plays later when the left fielder missed the ball? I think Eloy's mental mistake is far more egregious than a physical error on a ball in left field that was a laser beam. And I think for the left fielder, in his defense, he goes back because the ball sounded like it was hit a lot. Well, I don't want to say hit a lot harder. I think farther. Yeah, it just and it had, as they said, it had so much spin on it, and he quickly realized it was spinning. He judged it. He rejudged it, if you will, rather quickly.
Which is what you're supposed to do in the outfield. If the ball is lit in the air, is hitting the air, your best, if you're going to guess on it, always guess like it's going further, because you can run further in a lot easier than you can backpedal.
Absolutely. You're taught to step back. And even on most fly balls, you're taught to step back. And then make the play accordingly. So he rejudged it, I thought, pretty effectively. But then he got his feet tangled up because I think he was nervous because he realized, because in the moment what's happening. This is to win. And I think he got a little nervous, and then and again, might have had just for a second, might have lost the ball in the lights because it was so low. It was not a pop fly. That was a screaming 100-mile-an-hour off the bat line drive. And the nervousness, and he just repositioned his glove poorly, hit him on the shoulder, Kareem's off into the corner. And, so that one to me, look, it's a mistake, yes. But I don't think the game should have ever been at that point. You've got to turn a tailor-made double play. And I don't know why Eloy thought that going to third base was the right decision. And you and I talked about it too. Situational baseball, you have to know before the pitch is thrown, what do I do if the ball comes to me? And you turn a double play, man. I still just do not get it.
It's the more frustrating thing. And I think if you look at Arkansas's baseball history too, their two best chances to win championships, this year's team was positioned to do it. Losing it on a mental mistake like that, and then you go back and see how they lost it. When was that? 2018, I believe, when they lost to Oregon State, where they had that foul ball.
17 or 18.
That pop-up foul ball where three guys were there at the ball, nobody called for it, and it lands in between three of them.
Right.
That's a mental mistake.
Right.
That's not a physical mistake. Like the outfield play against LSU the other night was a physical mistake. Like, yes, you have to have that ball. But at the same time, that wasn't a lack of spaciness in your head.
That
spaciness in your head is what caused that.
The left field play, Elijah, like I say all the time, is why there's E on the score line. There's RHE. That's why, because sometimes that happens.
Yes. But the mental mistakes are the ones that you really go back on and you kick yourself the most for, because it's either a lack of preparation before the play, which was the Eloy play, and it's a couple of seconds of mindlessness like the one that cost them the Oregon State series, where it's a pop-up and foul play, and you have three guys over there, and it lands between all three. Somebody's got to have the wherewithal to say, hey, I got it. Everybody get out of the way. I've got the ball. Because three dudes could have done it.
Right.
Nobody did. Those are the ones that hurt you later when you start thinking back on it years down the road.
And he clearly, in his mind, for whatever reason, and this is again what baffles me more than anything else, his play, again, to say, what am I going to do if the ball comes to me? He was going to third the whole time. He went to third. He didn't look to second and see. And again, you had both runners.
Yeah.
Easy.
Like, it'd be different if LSU was running on that pitch.
Right.
And he gets the ball and he looks over there and the guy's already dove into second.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case.
No.
Maybe that's the instance in which, maybe you throw over.
Yeah. There's a reason.
What's the likelihood of, if you have runners on first and second, that they're going to double steal in that scenario, right? That's just not plausible. Before the pitch if that's happening.
We'll talk more about it with our buddy Mitch Light of The Athletic. He was out in Omaha covering the World Series. We'll get his take on that. Look ahead to his predictions for the weekend. Coastal versus LSU, Game 1 tomorrow night. It's the postgame show. Love telling you about integrated media. Love telling you about what ProSwing does as well. Of course, they are directly affiliated with the folks at Integrated. So I'll start with making sure that you can get ahead of the football rush with your home theater system, because now's the time to do that. They're always busy at Integrated Media, but they do get even busier. You know, a couple of pockets of time, like August ahead of football season, maybe sometimes ahead of the big game later on in like January. They get a whole lot busier, but always moving are the guys at Integrated. So now's a great time to call 803-948-8327 and get ahead of the football season rush. One room, whole house, indoors, outdoors. Man, watching football out backyard in the fall. Heck yeah. Get that done for you. And at ProSwing right now, kids camps still have a few availabilities. Go to ProSwingColumbia.com. If you want your little one to have some fun, learn the game at ProSwing in Chapin or Forest Acres, you can do that. ProSwingColumbia.com and Integrated Media. Talking College World Series on this Friday. The finals begin tomorrow night out in Omaha. Coastal Carolina back in the finals, their second ever trip to Omaha. And they will be playing for a championship again. 9 years ago, they beat Arizona. This time, they get mighty LSU, who, again, we were just talking about it, came back twice against Arkansas on Wednesday. Just a crazy game, man. I still just don't I don't know. I know we were just talking a lot about Arkansas losing that game. I mean, give LSU credit for continuing to apply the pressure, but Arkansas had it, man. Arkansas had it, and you just got to go get it done. Mitch Light will join us here in just a second. Coming up inside of an hour, our own Cale Wilson down at Shane Beamer Football Camp with more 7-on-7s today and a couple of really big visitors in town this weekend. Cale will give us the latest on all of that. Don't know that we're expecting commitments, but we are expecting, a good time for those guys. That's the hope, right? That they enjoy what they see from Shane and the staff. So we'll have that for you coming up in just a little bit. We always appreciate the time of Mitch Light of The Athletic joining us now. I want to tell you something, man, that says more about you real quick. And I know you and I have not ever met in person. Elijah speaks glowingly of you. So does one of your former employees. I am a avid watcher of the Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman podcast. And Ari routinely will mention his old boss and or his old editor, Mitch Light, when talking about a certain story or a certain angle or a certain approach. And I was like, hey, I've had that guy on the show, man. That's Mitch Light. I read his work. Like, I know who that guy is. So, I mean, I just think that's pretty neat that you've left an impression on someone like that. It says a lot about you. So I just wanted to say that to you real quick.
Well, thank you, Jay. But you know what's kind of funny is I just told Elijah, I'm in my car, and it was hot out. So I turned it on, and just as you were telling me who complimented me, the hands-free thing came on, and I had to hit no, so I didn't even hear who complimented me.
It was Ari Wasserman.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah, Ari's my guy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
He's a big fan of yours, so I think that's I think that's pretty neat.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to suggest that there's just hundreds of people willing to compliment me. I guess I probably should have figured out that it was Ari because he might be the only one.
It's funny. You've written some good stories while you were out in Omaha. I just want your take though on Wednesday. Elijah and I were just talking about it. Look, I don't want to discount LSU's ability to come back and win, and we know that going into this tournament, at least to the Final 8 in Omaha, that the betting lines showed Arkansas and LSU as basically co-favorites to win this thing. So we knew that could be good if it came down to it again, and it did. But for Wahiva Aloy to not turn that double play, Mitch, it's tailor-made, as I keep saying. It's just the term that we all use in baseball. As someone who's observed this sport for as long as you have, how stunned were you that such a relatively routine play was not even one he looked to think about making?
Stunned. And I'll preface this by saying, like, even though I cover football and basketball and baseball, like, I never played football. I acknowledge it's a really complicated sport. I don't try and second-guess a lot of things because I don't understand. And even basketball, like, I'll tip my hat to Elijah. He understands the game very well. I played it. I know it, but there's a lot of things I don't understand. I pride myself. I get baseball. I get every aspect, the nuances, the strategy. That's why I love it. And the first thing I thought of was there's no benefit to not trying to turn the double play. When you're up 2 runs with 1 out, there's no difference between first and third and first and second. Also, even if you're going to argue that it was a 50%, 40% chance he was going to turn the double play, so he went and get the lead runner, it doesn't matter. If there's a 5% chance you're going to turn the double play, you try and turn the double play. If it's a 1-run game, sure, you maybe get the lead runner at third because you don't want to run a runner on third with 1 out. So I was stunned. I don't know what was going through his mind. He didn't go to the media afterwards. Maybe just a mental mistake. Well, it was a mental mistake. So absolutely stunned. And that kind of they had the error before that, but that just got the ball rolling even further, and it just a debacle of an inning.
Mitch, I assigned you this question earlier this morning when we were communicating, because this loss for Arkansas, paired with how they lost the College World Series against Oregon State a few years back, are they more cursed of a baseball program than Florida State, who has been to this thing 24 times and has yet to win it?
Yeah, I guess it's the definition of cursed. I think I'm hoping I'm not using just recency bias here. I think I'd go Arkansas. And I've maintained since it happened that was one of the worst, the 2018 failing to catch the pop-up, one of the worst losses under the circumstances by any sport, any team in sports history. And, maybe that's an exaggeration, but if that were in college football, MLB, the NBA, maybe a more high-profile sport, it would have gotten so much more run. So the fact that they didn't convert that play, and then, of course, they go on to lose the College World Series in 3 games. And then this was different because, they're still in the loser's bracket. They still got to beat LSU again and then get to a championship series. But the way they did it, it's a team that led the nation, I believe, in field goal, defensive percent, whatever the term is. I just
fielding
brag about how I know so much about base. Yeah, I just brag about how much I know so much about baseball. I can't think of the term. Fielding percentage. Florida State, I was looking at, as you said, 24 times. They've only been in the final 3 times, but actually statistically that makes sense because 1 out of every 8. There's 8 teams in it. And I don't know enough about – they haven't been in the final since 99. I don't know enough about Florida State baseball history. Obviously a fan of that school can. How many times they had horrible luck, made a crucial error, things didn't go that way. For all I know, they just didn't make plays. So, we know we have evidence of Arkansas's failures and inability to make the big play. I don't really know Florida State's history enough, so my answer is Arkansas.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, and certainly a big mental mistake the other night. Let's look ahead to the weekend now. Elijah and I have been saying really since their regional in Conway and obviously the Super in Auburn and now here in Omaha, Coastal just doesn't look troubled, Mitch. They seem to be very complete. LSU is certainly complete, and LSU will go in as a favorite, but there's a lot of folks who believe the Chanticleers can win another national title. How are you looking at this weekend?
Yeah, I flip a coin, honestly. I mean, I'm sure LSU's the betting favorite. I was around all 8 teams. Not that you get, I pretend to know the players and all that stuff, but they have great access at Media Day, and I interviewed 4 or 5 guys from every team, but, they literally, you can, be in the dugout with them after they practice. And very relaxed group, very confident group when you've won that many games in a row. And I know none of these players were on the team that won the College World Series, but their programs have DNA. They expect to be here. They know they're good. They got, every cliche, chip on their shoulder for not being a top 8 national seed. They go into Auburn, best atmosphere at Auburn. All they're hearing is the record crowd. What do? They win in 2 games. And they come to Omaha, they win their first 3 games. Yeah, did they break a sweat? Sure, it wasn't easy, but they were the better team in each game. They've got amazing pitching. There's really, if their jersey said anything else, an SEC school, and didn't say Coastal Carolina, everyone would be expecting them to be, like I said, a coin flip. It's just some of, sports fans, we sometimes can't get past just the fact that we don't expect them to be as good. But they 100% expect to be here and are good enough to win a national title.
My favorite thing about them, Mitch, is how good they are at the little things, like leading the country and getting hit by pitch. Looking at, the map of all the pitches that have been called strikes this year out of the zone because of how good Caden Bodine is at framing pitches. But when you look at this Coastal Carolina team, what's the one edge that you think they might have over an LSU team?
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't know if they have an edge. LSU's obviously very, very deep. Jay Johnson's recruited very well, and they've used the portal well. I guess if you were going to give them an edge, you'd say maybe some pitching depth, some options in the bullpen, but I don't really think that's the case. I mean, as good as Coastal Carolina's starting pitching is, LSU – with Anderson and Ianson can match them, the top 2. And if you even like a guy like Chase Shorts, whose statistics aren't great this year, and he got hit a little bit, I guess, the other night, but his stuff is incredible. And like I said, statistically, he's not even one of their better bullpen options. So I don't want to contradict what I just said. I don't think Coastal Carolina has an edge in any specific area other than it's just baseball, and they're playing with a ton of confidence, and they haven't lost forever. So, that's why, their lineup clearly statistically is not as good as LSU's. They don't have as much power. They're not as deep. They've been very clutch in Omaha, but that's why LSU's favored because they do. They have the better roster.
And, of course, last time Coastal won this thing, they beat Jay Johnson when he was coaching Arizona. So they've got that going for them. I don't know what it means, Mitch, but it's certainly a thing. Game 1 tomorrow.
Well, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple, deals there. I'm sure Jay Johnson remembers it, and also I don't know if you saw that the image going around on social media, but I had forgotten this when Coastal. When they, on their way to the College World Series, they won a super regional in Baton Rouge. And so you're sure LSU fans haven't forgot that. So there are some between two programs you wouldn't expect to have a lot of connections. There's that coaching connection there, and there's the fact that they had to go through Baton Rouge on their way to their last national title.
Certainly feels like the college baseball nation is pulling for the Chanticleers. We shall see. Mitch, great stuff, man. I'm glad you made it back home safely. Have a great summer. I know we'll holler at you here soon enough, man, but good work on this one. We appreciate you.
Sounds good, and be sure Elijah rehabs that hammy. We need it. We need him back for fall ball.
Yeah, he's going to tell the story here in just a minute. He got the full diagnosis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Diagnosis not good.
That's right. That's Mitch Light of The Athletic. Mitch Light, that's how you follow him, theathletic.com. Thanks, man.
All right, take care, guys.
Yep, it's the postgame show. Be right back. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of our first hour. Coming up top of the 4, we go medical on y'all. If you missed it earlier in the week, Elijah hurt himself.
I did.
It was, it was like legit. You didn't do it, like getting out of bed or something.
Right. I could have hurt it in worse ways.
Yeah, you could have, but we'll get a full on. We'll get a recap, and then the official diagnosis that now alters Elijah's summer fun. Thanks to Mitch Light for joining us. Want to put just a kind of final cap. We'll probably have a little bit more on the games this weekend coming up, but a final recap on Wednesday and Arkansas losing to LSU and not being able to force that decisive game to get to the finals. Here's Coach Dave Van Horn on the mistakes that led to LSU beating his Arkansas Razorbacks.
Well, the way it all turned out, I guess I would have. I haven't talked to him about it. I guess he felt like he moved too far to his right for Cam to turn it. I don't know. He's an average runner. He's not a flyer, but he's not slow either. So I don't know. And then the ball, because I had a straight-on view of it. It was hit hard, obviously, and it was kind of hooking and sinking. But it looked like Charles slipped, like right at the beginning, had taken off for it. And then when he slipped, he probably lost sight of it. And when the ball's hit that hard, he was just trying to find it. And I'd have to watch it again. We're a long ways away. That's what I saw.
So the first part there, he's talking about Wahiba Aloy just, again, choosing, obviously from the get-go, to make a force out at third rather than attempt to turn what I will keep saying it because it's just so obvious, a routine double play. Heck, you see thrilling double plays sometimes in games. I don't think you needed a thrilling one there.
You needed a fundamental one.
Yeah, that really was just, it was basic, man. And again, I feel you and I talked about the pitcher, like, I got you your ball. You got to help me out, man.
On 2 different occasions, too.
And I think he's right. Yeah, and I think he's right about his left fielder. Again, I think he went back real quick, and then, and like I say, I think he definitely, I think he picked it up again. But for a second, think about it. Any of us, a line drive screamer, and you lose the ball for even a split second, and you lose it in the lights at night as you're looking up trying to find it, and then, there it is. Oh, it hits me in the shoulder.
Yeah, once you recapture it, it's the time you have to move your glove isn't sufficient.
And that ball was humming. That was not a lazy little whatever. I feel badly for Arkansas. I can't say they were the better team. I can't say that.
But this was the team that they've had that was built to win.
Yeah, but when you have a no-hitter and a complete game and you've got a full staff of pitching and then you can't find a way to get something basic done to use that pitching to your advantage, that's a blow. All right, Elijah got hurt. He'll talk about it. And, again, top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. That's our Top 5 Friday. Oh, a homeowner's been in your house for a while, looking to make some improvements. Maybe you need to consolidate some high-interest debt with a much lower rate. Well, Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union can help you out with that. Their home equity lines of credit offer you fantastic rates, lower rates than the big banks. Also, you get lower closing costs, lower application fees. That means more money for you to spend on your home and your family. Unlock your home's equity over a 10-year draw period and assist with all the things that you need. So maybe this summer it's kids are getting a little bit older. Maybe somebody needs an extra bedroom, or you need to put another bathroom in so the kids aren't fighting all over each other when they go to school in the fall. Or you want something to just give them extra space, or something for you, or a deck out back, or a pool. Hey, your house, your money. You figure out what to do with it, right? Apply online right now at palmettocitizens.org. And again, save money like you can't with the bigger banks. 14 convenient Midlands locations as well. And again, palmettocitizens.org. 4 o'clock on this Friday. Welcome back into the post-game show. Our second hour underway from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Cale Wilson just got back from the football facility in Shane Beamer football camp. Cale will tell us what's going on with the 7-on-7s. Gamecocks have some big visitors in town this weekend as Cruton season is not just heating up, man. It's like boiling.
It's boiling right now. It's always on.
Yeah.
That stove is always on.
But this time of
the
year,
water's boiling.
Yeah,
right
this
now.
time of year, it's on extra at this point in time. Before we do that, though, a couple of things. First, Top 5 Friday is back. It's been a while.
Got a lot of participants.
It's not like we don't want to do it, but we're busy. But today we thought was a good one. Today is the 50th. It just perfectly that it happens today as well, instead of just like this week. But today is the 50th anniversary of the release of Jaws, which makes me feel old because I was living. I do remember seeing it. I think they re-released it, and I think I saw it the next year. I did not see it when it came out in 1975. I doubt I'd have been allowed.
I was going to say, were you old enough to watch it?
I was. Well, I mean, I guess if I had gone with like my mom or grandparents or like my uncle or something, I could see my mom's younger brother taking me to that.
That's you go with your uncle to watch that movie. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Because he's like 6 or 7 years younger than my mom. So I think when I was born, he was in high school. So I could just see him.
That's a fun uncle event.
Yeah, you know, right?
A funkle moment.
But no, but I do remember seeing it the next year. And then like Jaws 2 came out when I was in like 3rd grade. But I remember going to see that too at the old Richland Mall Theater. Those of you who, if you know, you know. The old one. Y'all know what I mean if you're a local. But anyway, you know, look, Jaws is not just it's not just a scary shark movie. Like Jaws is, you and I said, and we're not trying to be all like snooty here, but like Jaws is a great film. I mean, it's a Steven Spielberg movie, and it's big. I've read Peter Benchley's novel. I mean, it's a great movie. Roy Scheider is great. Richard Dreyfuss is great. You know, it transcends a lot of things. And when Jaws is on, people just watch it, you know?
It's suspenseful.
Yeah. But it does get scary, but not horror scary. It's just like,
right.
Oh, it's tense, right? I think the tension just always builds. And then John Williams scored, everything about it. It's a great movie. But anyway, on that note, Top 5 Friday is Top 5 Scariest Movies involving real animals, where, again, as Elijah said, the animal is the antagonist. And we did think real quick, too, about just having, like, top 5 movies, like, with real animals, so they could be anything. And then we thought, like, do you have talking animals? And I said, like, can we have Cujo and Air Bud in the same top 5 list?
Pretty conflicting movies about dogs.
So we ultimately decided that the scary, and again, we're not looking. It's not about horror, you know. And again, so there's no Wolfman, you know, no Predator, no Alien, no Godzilla. Not that Godzilla's a horror movie, but you know, none of that kind of stuff. You know,
Jackie Matsui. Different Godzilla.
No King Kong. Like so we're trying to go more, again, well, I just said Cujo, like Cujo. Some of you have said Cocaine Bear. Yes, that counts. Yes. And again, Jaws, obviously. But movies with predatory reptiles, predatory fish, predatory canines, predatory felines. You know, or you know, that kind of thing. That's what we're, if you know, no one yet, well, never mind, I won't say that movie, but I'm surprised no one said one movie I was thinking of that was also popular around the same time as Jaws. But basically because it was a Jaws ripoff. I'll just say it, Orca.
Jaws, but with a whale.
Yeah, but with a killer whale. Or an orca.
If you will.
If you will, yes. They don't really like I don't think killer whales or orcas don't like being called killer whales. They've kind of come out with that.
Yeah, they've banded together to say, hey, the worst of us does not define all of us.
That's right. We'd just rather be called orcas. So top 5 scariest movies, not necessarily horror movies, but just things that might have jolted you or that you don't like. People don't like snakes. And I have one that has not been said, and I doubt anybody else is going to say it, but I remember it freaking me out.
See, when I made my list, I ranked it within the horror I would feel if I was one of the characters in the movie.
That's exactly how I felt about the one that nobody said, because I was like, brother,
Because number one on my list is Anaconda.
Okay.
I am terrified of snakes.
Yeah.
I mean, I am absolutely terrified of snakes. If there's anything that's going to make me shriek, it's the sight of a snake in my home.
Well, you've just perfectly segued us into our next talking point, because maybe you didn't shriek, but you did have an injury in the media softball event on Monday evening.
Yeah, it's my responsibility as the starting pitcher for the Mozzarella Mashers.
So let's go back to Monday night, and you can tell the audience what happened. Then we will get your full-on, perhaps unexpected medical diagnosis.
Yep. So about a month ago, I get a text from ABC Columbia's Noah Cast, and he's asking me, hey, were you interested in playing in this softball team in this league made up of, media members? We're all going to, form a team. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. I've always wanted to join a slow pitch softball league. It just sounds like a lot of fun, and I could use the exercise. So we have our first game on Monday. It's a doubleheader. Make it through the first game, lose a close game. We played well. So I'm looking forward to getting out there the second game, redeeming ourselves, and picking up a win. First at bat, I hit an infield single. So I'm on first. Ball gets into the outfield, into the gap, and I'm like, I can score this. So I'm getting on my horse. And then I'm rounding second to go to third, and as soon as my right foot hits that corner of that bag, I feel a pop in my right hamstring. And I get about 2 steps in before the adrenaline wears off rather quickly. And I felt like I got shot, like somebody had a sniper from the cars in the parking lot and hit me right in the leg. Quote Forrest Gump, felt like something bit me. Yeah. And I'm hobbling to third, and I can't make it any further. Jared Parker from Watch Fox is acting as the third base coach because he's on the other side of the lineup. So we were alternating who's base coaches. Right. And he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "I felt a pop. That didn't feel good." And I'm trying to stretch it out. I'm trying to bend over, touch my toes, and it hurt. It was bad. And he's like, "Think you can, run from here?" I'm like, "Well, if the ball gets into the outfield, I can hop home. I can hobble home." And sure enough, ball gets in the outfield, I hobble home, and I'm trying to stretch it out before I have to go back and pitch the next inning. And it ain't happening. I mean, it is an abrupt, this is not happening. So I try to jog. Nope, can't do it. Absolutely can't do it. Walking even hurt at that point because it was so fresh. So long story short, Jordan Kay from the state, frequent friend of the show, had to finish the game out on the pitching grabber for us, and it's like, you know what? I'll schedule a visit with my doctor. I sent him a text. He told me to come in Thursday morning. So because we're off yesterday, I go into the doctor's office. They do an X-ray, and he kind of he feels both hamstrings, and he is looking at the X-rays and said, "Yep, you tore your hamstring. It is a mild tear, but there is risk of further tearing it. Right now, you're avoiding surgery. If it tears much more, then you will have to have surgery." So, long story short, unless I can become a designated pitcher, because I can do that. I'm not going to be able to run to cover first if need be, so I'd be a liability there. But for all intents and purposes, out for the year.
Your season is done.
Season is done. Oh. Not even 2 full games in.
That's a bummer. Coach Annan was in here with us, Tony Annan, Gamecock men's soccer coach, on, Tuesday? And you were off air recounting what happened.
As I was putting my ice pack on the back of my leg.
Yeah, and he said, "Ooh, you felt the pop?" Again, I won't do his Geordie accent, but you felt the pop. 6 weeks.
And that's what my doctor said.
Yeah,
said 6 weeks.
He said 6 weeks, and he just, I'm sure he's dealt with it.
Now, shout out Dr. Matei. He did write me a doctor's note for the league. If they will allow a designated runner for me, he says, can hit, needs designated runner.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to fly.
I don't think they'll do that for you. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm really glad you went to the doctor. Not that I didn't think you would, but initially, and I get it, man, youthful bravado or not. I realize you're 30 now, and you don't know, like 18, where, at 18, we all believe we're just completely bulletproof. I think by now at 30, you realize, well, I'm not bulletproof. I'm bullet resistant.
Resistant, yes. I am a walking Kevlar vest.
But as you say, this bullet got you. And so you at least went to the doctor because you were saying, nah, I think I can give it a go because then we're going to have like 3 weeks where I won't be playing and then it'll be fine. And I was like, man, I don't want you to get out there and do something.
And it make it worse.
And so then you were like, yeah, let me schedule. Now, be honest, did you schedule the doctor because it was hurting more than you thought it was going to hurt?
I scheduled it because I was like, I need to at least see if it is. I've never torn anything. I've gotten really lucky in my athletic career where the worst injuries I've had, I sprained an ankle, I've rolled an ankle, I've broken fingers, I've had a concussion. Nothing where I've like torn a soft tissue, right? Or a tendon or anything like that. And I felt the pop, and I know that's not a good thing. So I had to make sure that A, it didn't require surgery, and B, what I need to do to make sure that it heals as quickly as humanly possible. And I'm like, well, the best way to do that would be to go to my doctor. My doctor's pretty accessible. He gave me his number when I had my checkup. So he said, if you ever need me for anything, hopefully you don't, and I can just see you back in a year. And I did lead off that text message with, well, I was hoping to not have to talk to you until next May, but this happened. And he immediately said, can you come in Thursday morning? Yes. So.
Well, that's good. Well, I mean, it's good in the sense that you got it fixed.
Yes.
It's not good, and it's good that he could see you quickly. Because sometimes they can't.
Sometimes they can't.
Yeah, sometimes they can't.
He squeezed me in.
Yeah, that's good. So just ice, rest, nothing major to worry about, so that's good. Maybe some type of NSAID from time to time, that kind of thing.
Had a gel prescribed that I'm supposed to apply to the area, and have to wear a compression sleeve, which I ordered from Amazon, which hopefully is at my house today.
Oh, good. Okay. Well,
that bad boy around.
I'm glad it's not any worse. But
it's a mild tear, and
it is a tear,
surgery,
man.
It is a tear.
Yeah.
I did tear my hamstring.
So I guess you go back in 6 weeks and get it re-examined. Is that the idea? All right. You feeling okay today?
Walking around is fine. Now, with just the way my leg sits on the chair, if I roll it forward, it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't hurt, but it feels uncomfortable. I can feel where it's torn.
Right.
Because it clumps up a little bit. That's how he was able to diagnose it, by looking at the x-ray and seeing that little clump of tendon. Because it's kind of like the Achilles, where it's stretched out like that. Whenever it tears, it snaps and it clumps up. But he said based on the size of the tear, or the clump that you have, it is a mild tear. It could have been a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse. And that's usually when it requires surgery. But I can feel where it's kind of clumped up, and it's a little uncomfortable walking sometimes. Like if I'm going upstairs, it's a sensation of discomfort. But earlier today, I was like, what if I got out of my car, when I parked my car to get here today, what if I just made a slight jog around my car to the passenger side to get my backpack? Just want to see what it felt like. 'Cause it hasn't hurt the last 24, 48 hours. And as soon as I took a stride, then it hurt. And I was like, nope, not trying that.
All right, well, you segued us nicely into your injury story after talking about our Top 5 Friday, Top 5 Scariest Movies Involving Real Animals. So let's segue back into it by me asking you, if you can walk without pain, what would happen if, Cocaine Bear was chasing you?
I'm done.
Okay.
You guys would survive. You and Kale would survive because you guys can get a head start because you can run, and the bear's going to be preoccupied with having me for lunch or dinner now. It's 4:13, but... I mean, the bear would have me for dinner.
Adrenaline at that point would not do you any favors. Even
Absolutely
if you had
not.
adrenaline going through you, it's not doing enough to heal that hamstring.
Nope. I am SOL, man. I am done for. If that cocaine bear breaks through these walls right now and it's wreaking havoc out in the lobby, I'm done for.
Okay.
I'm a sitting duck.
Well, here's hoping there's no cocaine bears or any other, cocaine ravaged animals.
I don't even know if I start running. I think that's the point where you guys go on without me.
Cocaine deer maybe could be okay. You could probably just tell the deer to move on. He's not going to eat you.
Well, it's cocaine deer. It's not normal deer. I mean, it's on a little something more powerful than what it usually operates on.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know that if
cocaine bear comes,
if a deranged animal came in, you're going to survive. Yes, I'm glad I can give you that peace of mind right now.
It's like a shield.
I will be your shield. Yes, I'm a human shield. I'm the one to go.
I've got to bring it back to my own safety at some point. So there's that.
Yeah. Oh, I can provide that for you, certainly.
Y'all hit us up, 803-404-6100. If you have a hamstring story, you can tell that too. But top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. We'll get a few results, and Kale will fill us in on what's going on with Gamecock football when the postgame show returns. Welcome back in on a very special Top 5 Friday to the postgame show.
This is the post-game show.
It's the Elijah Campbell hamstring injury edition.
He will never be able to play for the Washington Wizards.
Nor can he dance ever again.
He is doomed. Das ist nicht gut. That's some real German for you.
That was good right there, man. Yeah, I can't do that.
Translation, that is not good.
No, I knew what it meant. I wouldn't have. I can't pull that off. I don't know a lot of German. I know
Took 3 years of it in high school.
a little bit. I took French and Spanish. I can read some Spanish and French. Not real good at
Speaking it.
speaking. My 3 of my daughters, really, I think all 4 of them, but 3 of them are especially. They're basically fluent now, and they appreciate being able to say things. And I'll like pick up every 5th word. I'll be like, I know what that means.
So you can get you some
Yeah,
context.
because they'll be
or
like
clue.
trying to sneak around, like say something, like hey, I'm not that dumb.
I know some of it.
Yeah, I'm not that dumb.
Like I've dabbled.
Yeah, but they're basically fluent now, so good for them. I am not.
No, I have forgotten like 85% of the German I learned in school.
I believe you. How do you say that in German? You know what? Figure that out later. So Top 5 Friday, top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. And we're trying to go with like modern animals. So again, we love Jurassic Park, or any of, I really only like the first one. There's a couple of them that are just bad.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Kale. The new ones, I don't know. They're just it's all the same. Like the first one's amazing.
We're retreading the same idea.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, dinosaurs in a facility. Like, yeah, we did that once, and it was awesome. Now you keep doing it.
The first one, there are themes in there that make it a really good movie. Makes you think.
I wanted the one from like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago to be good because it was like the revisiting. And I've read those books, and they're very good. I love the books, Michael Crichton. But anyway, so no dinosaurs, and again, no Godzilla, no mutated giant dinosaur lizards off the coast of Japan. No King Kong, no werewolves, no aliens, no predators, that kind of thing. We're going for sharks or other predatory fish, pretty much frightening reptiles of any kind. I suppose, and frightening, I guess there are some frightening amphibians.
I've had some alluded to me.
Yeah. So, again, felines, canines, etc. Or bear. What's a bear? What's a bear? It's not it's neither though. What is the name for a bear?
Like a mammal?
Well, no. I mean, like a dog is a canine, but what's a bear? I need to look that up. Anyway, cocaine bear we talked about.
Yes, cocaine bear definitely on the list.
And Randy hit us and said, as they say, you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun the slowest person trying to outrun the bear. Yeah,
which would be me in this scenario.
And he says, sorry, Elijah.
Yeah, I'm toast.
So let's go with a couple of them here. Let me hit some Twitter, then we'll get to the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100. Alex says Cujo, then Pet Cemetery. Again, we're trying to be good about Pet Cemetery. Both Stephen King stories, obviously.
I included Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, we're not like that strict, like 10th grade English teacher you had.
This falls in the gray area.
3, Man's Best Friend.
Not familiar with that.
I don't know that one.
But I can connect.
It sounds like a Cujo type thing.
Man versus dog type thing.
4, Anaconda, and 5, Jaws. Thank you, Alex. Brody says number 1, The Revenant. Again, does have a bear attack,
and it's a gnarly one.
It is.
It's a tough watch.
Yeah, there's a bear. I will give you that. 2, Jaws. 3, The Shallows. I don't know. Okay.
Kale
get
gave
your microphone. You can talk. Come on. What is The Shallow? I don't know The Shallows. Does he not have one? He doesn't have one over there, does he?
We only have one microphone.
All right, well, then hold on. You'll have to wait. I'm going to skip his number 4 for a second and just go to his number 5, Lake Placid. What is that? That's some kind of like scary something under.
I know it was terrifying for the Soviet Union in 1980 when they had to face off against a bunch of American college
hockey kids.
Yeah, those kids were animals.
Brody, I'm not picking on you, Brody, because things can be different when you're small. Number 4, he put The Jungle Book.
I mean, there are some.
Well,
yeah.
I guess like the panther is kind of menacing.
Yeah. Menacing creatures in it.
You know, so that's scary. That's a scary real animal.
Certainly.
You know, that's fair. That's fair. Matt says number 1, Jaws. 2, Cujo. 3, The Birds. There's our first Birds reference. 4, Arachnophobia. 5, Lake Placid. All right, so Lake Placid's already got a few. Let me go down real quick. I'm going to read our buddy Ryan Brewer's. Where did I put? I thought Ryan's was in here somewhere, wasn't it, Elijah?
Yeah, you retweeted it.
I did. Well, now I can't find it. Oh, hang on. Let me go back.
He's going to love that.
He didn't pull it down, did he?
He's going to come back, and he's going to fight you.
Here it is, Ryan Brewer. Number 1, because Ryan added commentary. He didn't just put his movies. He added commentary. All right, so Bruce says, number 1, Arachnophobia. Can't pop a squat until I look first.
So that's how you know it's a really good scary movie, if there are scenes that stick with you enough to change some of your daily habits.
2, Jaws. Plus, he says, all shark movies. Keeps my head on a swivel at the beach. Yeah. But what about your legs underneath the water?
Yeah, you can keep your head on a swivel underwater.
Yeah. 3, The Ghost in the Darkness. And then he says, that happened.
We got one of those in the text line. I've never seen The Ghost in the Darkness.
Is there a real animal involved? Because I'm not usually big on the ghost movies. Not that I don't like them. I just don't believe in ghosts. So I would say it didn't happen. But if there's an animal and it's just like, you know, it's not actually a ghost, could be that. 4, Piranha. He says, funny, still in Head at the Lake. Okay, yeah. I'm just going to tell you, I have Piranha on my list. And 5, Snakes on a Plane. Bruce says, I don't mind snakes, just not on a plane.
The Ghost in the Darkness. This is from the Wikipedia page here.
Okay.
1996 American historical adventure film directed by Stephen Hopkins, starring Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas.
Oh.
Is a fictionalized account of the Tsavo man-eaters, a pair of lions that terrorized workers in and around Tsavo, Kenya, during the building of the Uganda-Mombasa Railway.
You know what? I do remember.
East Africa in 1898.
Okay, that's why he means that happened. Okay, yeah. Wow, Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. How did I not see that?
That's a you problem then.
Well, it is a me problem. I'm fans of both of those teams.
I was an infant when it came out, so I've got to add that to the list of movies.
Well, your brother's the one that has 1,000 movies.
He's the connoisseur. Yeah, he's the one with a Voodoo account that's got over 1,000+ movies in it that I can just watch anytime. He might have it in there.
And real quick here, our good friend Brad Muller, voice of Carolina women's basketball and softball, he also provided commentary, at least for the most part. Number 1. Jaws. It ruined the beach for me as a kid when it came out and to this day.
Ooh.
Not alone.
Permanent effect.
2, Creepshow. The segment with the cockroaches. Amen, dude. Because the thing in the thing underneath the stairs in the crate, that's, probably not real, but the dude and the cockroaches, that's all I'll say.
I've not seen the film, but that sounds terrifying.
Creepshow is what it sounds like as a title. It's like 3 movies in one, 3 vignettes.
Okay. Interesting. I do like that. I like that movie format, though.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He says when the old man's head was part of the dog, freaked me out. Okay.
That's a fever dream.
4, Pet Cemetery, says Brad. And then 5, Gremlins. He says, went from cute to dark fast. Yeah, again, Gremlins, we're giving Brad a pass on Gremlins. Any of you that said Gremlins, we're nice.
It's like if you're Furby, sentience.
We're going to give you a pass on that one. So there's a few. All right, a lot of you got a lot of them on the
so many.
Yeah, okay.
A lot to get to.
So we will get to some more. Kale's going to give us a football update, too. Yes, we're going to talk about some sports. Don't worry. At least I think we will. We talked about Elijah's injury, and that was sports.
That was sports. Painful sports.
Lots more to do. But if you want to send in your top 5 scariest movies involving real animals, 803-404-6100 is the postgame show.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. A few accidents to get to you. They're causing some issues on the roadways, starting with one on Hardscrabble Road at Summit Parkway, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive near Exit 12, Killian Road at US 21 near Wilson Boulevard, and Two Notch Road at Windsor Lake Boulevard at Main Gate Drive. We also have a disabled vehicle causing a traffic backup over on I-26 eastbound at the St. Andrews Road exit 106.
Oh, we're having some fun on a Top 5 Friday here on the first day of summer and the 50th anniversary of Jaws being released way back in 1975. Top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. And we will get to more of your input on the text line, 803-404-6100. Got a lot more to get to on Twitter as well. Our own Cale Wilson back from another round of coverage of 7-on-7 competition down at Shane Beamer football camp and talking to a few folks ahead of another big recruiting weekend. What stood out today in terms of the diamonds in the rough you've been finding for everybody?
Today or yesterday?
Well, I guess whatever day you want to say, man. This is your report. I'm just asking the questions.
I can just give a combined report if you'd like. There were lots of guys that stuck out both yesterday and today. There was a Carolina commit today for South Point, safety Jazavian Currents. He holds a total of 44 offers and decided to commit to South Carolina. Holds, if you name the school, he's got it.
Right.
Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, everywhere.
He's at 26?
Yes,
Okay.
he's a 2026. And South Point did really well today. They unfortunately lost in the final to West Charlotte. Came down to the last second. West Charlotte won, and I kind of told Elijah a fight almost broke out, and the two play week 3 of the regular season. So that'll be interesting to see.
Juicy headlines.
Yeah.
Juicy headlines.
I like that.
Another guy that really stuck out today yesterday for Catawba Ridge, he was the #1 cornerback in the class of 2027, Josh Dobson. Also holds an offer from Carolina, holds 35 offers. Ohio State, Georgia, Carolina, Clemson, you name it, he's got it.
Right.
And then Gordon Sellers, who is a Clemson commit for the Tiger fans out there for Providence Day, he had 3 touchdowns in the championship game yesterday for the Shane Beamer 7-on-7 against Catawba Ridge.
All right. And he is a
2026.
No, what position?
Wide receiver.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So what's it been like this week relative to last week? I mean, is it basically the same kind of stuff? I mean, are you just seeing nothing but talent coming through? Are there different levels of competition that we're seeing in terms of who's watching what?
I saw different levels today. There were a couple guys that were really under the radar that I felt like, needed more recognition. I saw Richland Northeast today. They had a couple guys that, were really, really good. They had this one wide receiver. His name was Blake Batet, and, he's a shifty slot receiver. He's kind of like that guy that I said from last week that was from Florida, Aziel Benag. He's got a bunch of Ivy League offers, and then he's got an offer from Marshall. But he got so much bigger over the offseason from the last time that I saw him, because the last time I'd seen him was September of last year.
Right.
And this kid grew about 3 or 4 inches, looks like he put on 50 pounds of muscle.
He had one of those. I mean, almost everybody goes through it, right?
Why couldn't that happen to me in terms of the muscle part when I was in high school? That'd be great. Why couldn't I put on 50 pounds of muscle?
Well, maybe there's a little additional work in the weight room there, but you can't do anything now, man.
No, there is no adding of muscle. I mean, I could probably still, lift some dumbbells and
You're
stuff,
like in
but
timeout.
I am in athletics timeout for at least 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks.
At least you got to go out on a high note, because you still scored.
I did score.
Even though you tore the hamstring, you've pushed it till you got to home plate.
I scored a run on a torn hamstring. That was, I guess, the closest I'll ever get to being Kirk Gibson.
Ooh, that's not a bad. That's a good way to think about it, at least. And you got the beard going.
Exactly. Yeah, we have that in common.
So there's that.
I did not hit a home run on it, but I did hobble from third to home.
And I guess Yeah, he would have been older than 30 by then, right?
I think so.
Mid-30s, probably.
Definitely in the twilight of his career.
Yeah, we should look that up just to see how close you are in age. All right, what else stood out to you?
The running back yesterday for Woodruff High School, his name's Aiden Gibson. He's a 2027 guy, but he's pretty big. He's 6'2", 6'3" running back. Holds offers from Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Florida State, Vanderbilt, and a few others. He looked really good. And then for today, Burns High School running back Trey Segura also holds offer from Carolina, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, Florida State. There are a lot of guys this week that with Power 5 offers or Power 4. I don't know if you count the Pac-12
RIP
anymore.
the Pac-12.
Yeah, I still count it, but some people don't. So I guess I just say Power 4.
Well, unfortunately, those that don't are now the ones that are running everything. But Elijah and I wanted to still count, but it's not going to.
Justice for Oregon State and Washington State. That's all I'm going to say.
We just keep saying RIP Pac-12 because it didn't have to happen. Do you get the feeling that there are more? Let me rephrase the question. Is there more scrutiny in terms of just learning interest in the 27 kids? I guess, in other words, are the 26 kids, even if they don't have a lot of big offers, more known to coaches? Are the 27 kids the ones that maybe are trying in these 7-on-7s, especially to show out just a little bit more to get even higher up on the radar?
For the most part, it felt like the 27 kids were the ones that were the most known. It honestly looked like the 26 kids are trying to make the most names of themselves.
Interesting. Okay.
Which, it's their last year of high school ball.
Right.
So they're trying to put in everything they've got. So it was just really cool to see these kids, put in everything they've got. And there were some kids that, really showed out today that were in the 2026 class.
All right. All right, so who ended up winning today's competition?
West Charlotte of Charlotte, North Carolina. And
you mentioned, okay.
They faced off against South Point.
So that was the title. Okay, my bad. My bad. All right.
And before the game even started, I know I said there was almost a fight at the end. Before the game even started, the two were talking trash to each other. What do you call it? Statriotism.
Statriotism, yes.
My favorite word.
Of statriotism.
My favorite word, because South Point struck to score first, and the way that West Charlotte won, they scored a touchdown as time expired to win.
Oh,
thrilling. I even saw some videos kind of trickle out today, and one was a touchdown from One Stone Fury, which is, I guess, one of the best names in football at Dutch Fork now. He was at Chapin, but he made some plays today too, from what I was able to gather. I don't know if you had the same assessment. He looked really good out there.
So Dutch Fork was there yesterday. But they did do well. They lost in the semifinal to Providence Day, of course. Providence Day, I don't remember the last time they lost a 7-on-7, but that was a very competitive game. And yeah, Fury looked great. I think he's going to be a huge impact for Dutch Fork this year.
All right, we'll talk some more football in a minute. Kale wants to give us his top 5 scariest movies that involve real animals, and he's seen The Shallows, which does sound creepy.
It does. Yeah, Kale gave me the premise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was it that had that in their list? Was that Brody? Was that his name?
Yes, Brody.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to him. When I heard that movie, I said, "Holy cow! Someone else has seen that movie." I was really happy. And then I also heard you say Brad Muller. I actually had a class with him my fall semester of my senior year at USC. So, big shout out to him.
A Brad Muller pupil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have The Shallows, but he has a great friend of the show. All right, what are your top 5?
So at number 5, I've got Rampage. Ever heard of that?
Yeah, that's well, wait, that's not the one about the video game, is it?
No, that's got Dwayne. It's got Dwayne Johnson and
all right, The Rock.
I won't get too much into it. But basically, something falls out from the sky in 3 different locations in the country, and it leaks out this gas that makes you grow like crazy and your temper really bad. And it was sniffed by a gorilla, an alligator, and a wolf. And I guess there was this siren blaring across the country in New York.
So it's like Cocaine Bear, but different.
In a way. The three animals go to the middle of the city in New York, and they tear down the buildings to try to get
that is the one based on the video game. Yeah, that's that.
Oh,
okay.
And I guess it is. I never played that.
No, that's okay. It was like a game from the 80s or 90s. All right.
The next one is Crawl. You ever heard of Crawl?
I haven't heard of it.
So that, again, I'll give it quick. A girl goes home for a hurricane to take care of her dad and her dog, and a flood happens because of the hurricane. Yeah. The dam for the lakes break.
Eh.
An alligator starts swimming around. An alligator takes shelter in the house, starts trying to kill the dad, stuff like that. So that was really, really crazy.
Okay.
Third, 47 meters down.
So, we have a few of those. All right, I don't know that one either. I guess there's going to be some.
Yeah, I get.
thing.
You know what? I'm not a sports reporter anymore. I'm a movie reporter.
That's fine. Do it.
So these two girls go to Mexico, get in a shark cage because they get convinced to go shark diving. The cord to the boat breaks. The cage sinks to the bottom of the ocean, 47 meters below sea level. The two girls try to escape, and the sharks try to kill them.
Okay, that's good.
Next up,
Nobody's coming to get him. Come on, man.
next up is the shallows.
Okay, the shallows.
Yeah. Do I have to explain that one or?
Well, you said Blake Lively in a bathing suit surfing and gets chased by a shark.
Stuck on a rock, apparently.
Stuck on a rock, yes.
So there you go.
She had one of the big things I remember is she had this, her really bad cut. She had to like try to stitch it together with her necklace on her neck.
Don't love that.
That was kind of graphic.
Yeah.
But the final one, Liam Neeson in The Gray.
Do I know that one?
Fighting wolves.
Okay, yeah.
Him and a bunch of people, they're on a plane. They crash in the middle of nowhere in Alaska. No reception or anything. They all try to survive, and they crash in the territory of a pack of wolves that try to chase them down and kill them, and they take them off one by one.
Anything Liam Neeson's doing. Maybe he had a lightsaber while he was there. Lots more to do on the postgame show. Waking up with a little back, neck, shoulder, or joint pain, get back in the game with our friends at the Joint Chiropractic Centers. You never have to worry about appointments or insurance, and they want to make sure you're in and out quickly and feeling better all at the same time. Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, Saturdays, 10 to 4. Yeah, maybe you have some of these problems, but you've never actually been to a chiropractic center. You're like, hey, what actually happens there? Well, for just $29 at the Joint, you can get an initial consultation where you can ask questions about what's up, get an exam and an adjustment. And once again, no appointments ever necessary. They are also FSA and HSA approved. Janet and Bob Keene been doing this for a long time across the Midlands, just ready to make sure that you feel better. Harbison Boulevard, Forest Drive, Roberts Branch, and Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Convenient, affordable, help you maintain a healthy body and prevent those reoccurring issues. Remember, you don't have to feel bad to feel better at the Joint. All right, welcome back in. Final few minutes of our second hour coming up, top of the hour, 5 o'clock headlines. We'll spend a lot of time next hour as well with more of our Top 5 Friday, top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. This based on the 50th anniversary of the release of a true classic, Jaws, 50 years ago today. And on that note, it's time to play a little Jay or Nay here on this Friday.
That's right. And what better way to do this?
This is not a game.
Than to have the Jaws theme.
It's not a game.
Jay or Nay, the hottest seat in the SEC going into 2025 belongs to the seat of one Mark Stoops.
Wow. Nay.
Nay? Okay.
Billy Napier.
Still okay.
I think it's Billy Napier, man. I guess if Stoops were to go 4-8 again or miss a bowl again, I don't think they care enough.
Because here's the thing. It's not just that they've underperformed. There was that real flirtation with Texas A&M that I think has really rubbed a lot of people over in Lexington, Kentucky.
I suppose
a long way.
I might put him, honestly, Elijah, I think I'm putting him third. I'm putting
Really? Okay.
Napier, Venables, Stoops would be my... That's today. Now, my mind can be changed on that.
Would you put Sam Pittman in that class? I know they made a bowl game last year, and they improved.
I think his seat cooled just enough. Now, would I put him in the top 5? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So there are a lot of secure seats.
Because I mean, right now. I'll tell you, it doesn't feel like it should be, but even Brian Kelly's seat is not comfortable.
It's not cold.
No, it's not, because he's supposed to be winning.
He's like sitting in one of those seat warmers you have in your car.
Yeah.
Get leather seats.
I mean, let's face it, man. There are not many jobs in this conference right now that you can just go, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Sark is probably the most comfortable. Sark, well, that's not true. Kirby is comfortable. Kirby's fine.
Yeah.
Kirby's fine. Now, Kirby goes 2-10. He's not fine, but he ain't going to go 2-10. So
and if Alabama misses another playoff.
The board could be. Because they're listen, well...
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting scared now.
Now you're terrified. Jay or Nay, the ball call that cost Dodgers pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto an immaculate inning is the worst umpire/officiating gaffe this year in sports.
I don't know about this year, but it is brutally awful. It was right
horrific.
Down the middle. I don't understand how that happened. I mean, it's right down the middle.
The easiest call you could have possibly got.
You can't have it. I mean, it's the place you don't want the ball to be. It was so down the middle.
It was the 9th strike of an immaculate inning.
It was terrible.
Only happened a handful of times in history.
It's a terrible. And again, I don't know how you do that. It was right down the middle. Brutal call. Felt bad for him. Brutal call.
Hated it.
Brutal call. All right. Now I'm scared. And for all of you who are heading to the beach, I hope the John Williams music stays in your head.
As you're out in the ocean.
That's right.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. You going to hang around, Kale? All right. Kale doesn't know yet. Maybe Kale's scared now. He's going home, too.
We spooked him.
That's right. Between Blake Lively in a bathing suit, getting chased by a shark, and now real shark music. Yeah. All right. Hour 3 coming up. Ben Cato and the staff at Cato's want to remind you that you can beat a lot of tariff surcharges and price increases these days. They've got you covered at Cato's now through July 31st. They are offering up to $1,500 off Toro, Z-Master, and Grandstand models. And qualified buyers can take advantage of 0% financing for up to 48 months. So get the tools that you need to maintain your lawn. You can do it at Cato's. Listen, my Toro equipment has helped me do so much more around my yard. And I've said this many times, too. Again, you can go to a big box store and buy your next lawnmower or chainsaw or whatever you want, right? But it's just like going to a tailor with your clothes. You can buy off the rack, but can you get it perfectly fitted at the big box store? No. But at Cato's, they'll do that for you with your power equipment. What do you want to do? They'll get you the piece of equipment that makes you accomplish that right away. Whether you do it for yourself, you do it for a living, see my friends at Cato's Power Equipment.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with several accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways, starting with one on Colonial Drive at Hardin Street, Hardscrabble Road at Summit Parkway, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive near exit 12, Killian Road at US 21 near Wilson Boulevard, Two Notch Road at Windsor Lake Boulevard and Main Gate Drive, US 176 at Broad River Road near Piney Grove Road, and lastly, we have a disabled vehicle that's causing some issues over on 26 eastbound at St. Andrews Road near exit 106.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Friday. Welcome back in. Also, the final hour of the postgame show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. We start with the Atlanta Braves, who completed a 3-game sweep of the New York Mets last night. Did not see that one coming, as the Braves have now crept to within, 10.
Don't let the Braves get hot.
But no, the Braves with a 5-4 win, then a 5-0 win, and a 7-1 victory last night. So they have won 3 in a row. They have won 6 of their last 7. Braves are playing some pretty good baseball. Tonight, they travel south to Miami, and a big deal game tonight for Atlanta, as the Braves will have a young 20-year-old Colombian right-handed starting pitcher named Didier Fuentes make his major league debut. If you look at his minor league numbers, they are not great. He's 0-7 with an ERA of a little bit over 4, but the Braves love his stuff, and in the last few games at Gwinnett, he has actually pitched well. The team has not won, so the win-loss record, and let's face it, Elijah, ball clubs aren't overly – that's the thing about minor league baseball. You and I talk about this a lot. There's a difference in college baseball where you're winning – or you're there to win the game, relative to minor league baseball where you're there to improve as a player and then win at the major league level. He's only made a handful of starts in minor league ball, but the Braves love his stuff. Now, this is probably a one-off. This is not someone they are necessarily promoting to the major leagues, but with the way the schedule is right now and with the Braves going straight back to New York on Monday, they felt the right thing to do was to bring him up, have him start, push everybody back a day for extra rest going to New York City. So a little bit of a roll of the dice, but you're doing it against the Marlins, and they're not good.
If you're going to do it against anyone in the National League that's not the Colorado Rockies, you probably do it against the Fish.
And even with a pitcher who is making his major league debut, the Braves are minus 150 to win tonight, and I don't know if this is good or bad because as a pitcher, if you can throw junk, a lot of times that's okay. But the Marlins starting pitcher's name is Jansen Junk.
Amazing.
He is 1-0 with a 2.78 and 22 2/3.
In the pantheon of great pitcher names.
Jansen Junk.
Like Homer Bailey.
But again, young Didier Fuentes, 20 years old. He's the youngest Brave to pitch, I believe, since Mike Soroka a few years back. So I read about him this morning. I can't tell you I'm prepared on what he's going to look like. I also believe this is absolutely, an opener. Look.
I'm not expecting him to go 7 innings.
You know what? If he's perfect through 3, I kind of doubt he goes any farther than that. Because, with all due respect, the Marlins are a Major League Baseball team.
That is factually correct. That is correct, yes. And a second time through the lineup might not happen.
I think he's probably on some kind of 50 to 70 pitch count. Is what I'm guessing. The Braves aren't going to tell you that, but that's what it feels like. But Snit said, hey, they talked about it last night in postgame because they knew this was going to happen. And he said, I remember when Sherholtz would call me when I was managing AAA. Hey, Snit, what do you think? We want to bring up, so-and-so prospect. And he's like, well, I'm just going to tell you he can't do any better down here. So you need to test him at the next level. What happens, I don't know. Not telling you he's going to light it up, whoever it might be, pitcher, hitter, reliever, starter, whatever. Same thing with this kid. But they're basically saying he's got the stuff. So, and where you want him to ultimately be. Give it a shot. So that's what they're doing today.
Can't believe I forgot this name, too. AJ on the Firehouse Subs text line. It says Bob Walk. Greatest pitcher.
Oh, Bob Walk, man. He was a Brave for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was a Brave, a Philly, a Pirate, I think. Yeah,
so for
Bob
assembling names, a pitching staff of just great pitcher names.
Right.
We have one tonight starting for the Fish.
Jansen
Junk, Homer Bailey, Bob Walk.
Well, don't the Braves have, is it Scott Blewett?
Scott Blewett in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Which is the only place that person can pitch. Yeah. The only place out of the bullpen. You can't have the last name Blewett and be the starter, but you can come in with a 5-run lead and have that name be appropriate.
So there's that. Braves and Marlins in Miami tonight at 7:10. And again, the Braves minus 150 to win that one and win 4 in a row.
It'd be a big deal.
I did not see a sweep of the Mets coming.
No,
I mean, it's fantastic.
I know the Mets are struggling.
Yeah, the Mets they're in their first swoon of the year. Yeah, they are.
6-game skid.
Yeah, and it happens. You're gonna. I mean,
you play 162 of these things.
It's going to happen. But the Mets are in theirs right now. Let's hope the Mets stay in it next week in New York City.
That way we can at least gain some ground on them.
That'd be fun.
The NL wildcard picture is pretty jammed.
Some college football news. This is really, we kind of knew this was coming, but just about an hour and a half ago, this story broke. Dan Murphy, ESPN, reporting here, but others have it out as well. The University of Wisconsin filed a lawsuit today against the University of Miami, claiming that the Hurricanes broke the law. Not any rules, broke the law by tampering with a Badgers player in what is described as a first-of-its-kind legal attempt to enforce terms of a financial contract between a player and his school. According to Murphy, and I'll read verbatim, the lawsuit refers to the athlete in question as student-athlete A, but details from the complaint line up with the offseason transfer of freshman defensive back Xavier Lucas, who, by the way, is from Florida. Again, I'm reading here. Lucas left Wisconsin and enrolled at Miami in January after saying the Badgers staff refused to enter his name in the transfer portal last December. Wisconsin, in their suit, claims that a Miami staff member and a prominent alumnus met with Lucas and his family at a relative's home in Florida and offered him money to transfer shortly after Lucas signed a 2-year contract with Wisconsin. The lawsuit states that Miami committed tortious interference by knowingly compelling a player to break the terms of his deal with the Badgers. You and I talked about this story earlier in the year, and we also got to use the term tortious interference when it came to the ACC lawsuit with Clemson and FSU.
15-yard penalty.
That's right. That's right. But look, I'm not going to sit here and say, here's what I think is going to happen in this. I remember talking about this, though, and going, ooh, you signed a contract, and then you just kind of said you wanted out, and then they found out why. I'd like to at least say I feel like Wisconsin's got a really strong case here. But this is going to be an interesting test. I would agree with that part of it.
We've talked a lot about movies today. This doesn't fit in our top 5 Friday, but the movie Training Day, if it taught me anything,
right,
it's not about what you know, it's what you can prove. And can Wisconsin prove that members of Miami's team, coaching staff, or whoever, people directly related to the program, directly contacted him? This is not the tampering thing in college football, college basketball, baseball, softball, whatever. Right. Not new, and I think we can all assume that's the case whenever somebody goes into the transfer portal with a do not contact tag. I think that is kind of like the blatant sign that something might have been going on behind the scenes, like during the season. But how many of those instances can people prove, right? If it's word of mouth, if it was just, in a shady back alley where Mario Cristobal met with maybe this kid's father or something like that, can you really prove that? Yeah. We're about to not just find out what the punishment can be for trying to tamper with and poach a player from another team's roster, but what is the standard of proof here? Is it a high school head coach reaching out to him, say, hey, you want to come play at Miami? Will that count? Whatever Wisconsin has here can potentially set up a precedent for what certain courts can define as that type of tortious interference. Is it directly from a coach? Is it a player from Miami? Is it, who is it? That's really, to me, what
who's the guy, the prominent alum that, they've been, I forget the guy's name, that's been doing a lot of their NIL dealings of late.
Shapiro.
Wisconsin did release a statement. Yeah, Melvin Shapiro.
Was it a Shapiro, or was that the one who just got caught in the early 2000s?
I don't remember. Anyway, Wisconsin released a statement. Quote, while we reluctantly bring this case, we stand by our position that respecting and enforcing contractual obligations is essential to maintaining a level playing field, and that during this watershed time for college athletics, this case will advance the overall integrity of the game by holding programs legally accountable when they wrongfully interfere with contractual commitments. Again, if nothing else, and they, their statement says reluctantly, I don't know what the lawsuit says, you don't file the case typically unless you feel like you at least have a nice chance. The one exception of late is, Alston versus NCAA, where they weren't going to win.
No. And probably should have known.
They probably shouldn't have ever. They should have stopped at the appeals court. Our bad. But anyway, let's not go down that road. So we'll see what happens on that one. Here at home, this is cool just because it means the partnership is working well, but Colonial Life, that's the insurance company, and the University of South Carolina have extended Colonial Life's agreement to be the naming rights partner of Colonial Life Arena. It will now run through June 30th of 2027 and includes exterior and interior signage as well as promotional packages with Gamecock Athletics. Tim Arnold runs Colonial Life. He says the sponsorship renewal represents our continued strong commitment to USC and the greater Midlands community. And Jeremiah Donati says Colonial Life has been a tremendous partner of Gamecock Athletics for many years, and this extension as our naming rights sponsor reflects our continued collaboration. So there you go. Does not give, in this particular release, financial details.
But we do know it's going well.
I would say it's going well, and I would say it's going up.
Yes. That's good.
Right?
Plus.
I mean, everything else is going up. Why not that?
It only makes sense. Yes, when you renew that contract, it's going to be for a little more money.
And finally, locally here on our integrated media headlines of the day, congratulations to the Columbia Fireflies. For the first time since they came back to Columbia, or at least a ball club came back to Columbia, they have clinched the first half South Division Championship, and they will be in the Carolina League playoffs coming up later on this year. That's right. So there you go. It marks the first postseason baseball game in Columbia since 2004. And there are already some playoff game tickets available. The dates will be announced later. But the club says if you want to get some, just go to the website. You'll learn more.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
Playoff baseball in Columbia. Look at
Listen,
that.
I remember back in the old days, going at the old ballpark, had a few playoff opportunities. Remember when they had an all-star game? It was really fun.
Oh, I love all-star games.
Minor league all-star game, but the playoffs. And the thing is, man, like we just, it's funny because we're sort of dancing around two things. I said earlier about Didier Fuentes making his major league debut and that they don't care about records and whatever in the minors. And by and large, they don't. Someone is going to win divisions and someone's going to get into playoffs. And once you do, it does amp up the level of the play. And I do appreciate that. So I look forward to that. Because, then you see these guys, I don't want to say take it more seriously, but
the competitiveness comes out.
Yeah, like then there's something to win, and the parent club probably says, hey, a little bonus or something. And the parent club probably likes the fact that you're, got a little more at stake, and that helps you progress.
Everybody
grow.
get ice cream after the game.
That's right. Well, because most of these guys are like 19.
Yeah, you can't have any champagne.
No. They would never break the rules of that.
Absolutely not.
No.
So ice cream it is.
That's
Maybe
right.
some apple juice.
Yeah.
If you win.
I like apple juice. It's good. I like ice cream.
It'll be a fun time for everybody.
I tell you what, yesterday I had a free plug. I had the Chick-fil-A Ice Dream with the lemonade in it. Have you had that?
Oh, yes.
Man, that thing's
it's
good.
Yeah, it's real good.
That thing's good.
Tastes like summer.
That was great. So there's that. Give me one of those if I win something.
It's good. That's a good enough prize.
All right, we'll come back on the other side. By the way, that's our integrated media headlines of the day, 803-948-8327 for all your home theater needs and so much more. Call Integrated Media. Speaking of Integrated Media, Michael Geddes weighed in with his top 5 Friday, but it's not movies. He has an actual encounter that he told about. So I'll tell you that. But your top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. We got a loaded text line, and we'll do that with you as the postgame show rolls on. 19 minutes after 5 o'clock on this Friday. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Cale Wilson is hanging out with us here, too. Cale back from another round of coverage of Shane Beamer football camp and the 7-on-7 competitions, and letting us know that Captain Munderland was bringing his Chambers High School team from Charlotte down here today.
Oh, very nice.
So that's neat.
He's familiar with this program.
Yeah, that's cool. Good stuff. Way to go,
Listen,
Cap.
folks.
I didn't know he was coaching. Cale told me that. I was like, all right, that's cool. I did not know that was happening. So, very good. And now not only do we have a Gamecock assistant coach on the staff and one Elijah Campbell with a average of
29 yards per play.
There it is. But now Cale was like trying out for the teams, except I think you're out of eligibility, right?
You know, I think do you think I could use my COVID year from high school as eligibility?
Do you get a grad year?
If you weren't in college, you can't use the COVID year, man. Sorry.
That's unfortunate.
But you got to run a route.
I got to run a couple actually.
Did you do well? Did you put a helmet on?
I didn't put a helmet on.
Nah, that doesn't count.
I saw him catch a
7-on-7,
pass,
man. You
though.
got to at least put a helmet on.
I did see him catch a pass.
Okay.
So he did catch one pass while guarded.
29 yards?
Not quite.
Oh.
Not quite. Not out of the wishbone either.
No. Well, it's still fun. And apparently, Cale might have been ragged on by Sean Elliott, too, which is great.
Even better. Was he critiquing the route?
Go ahead and tell him what he was critiquing.
So I was there with two of my buddies. My buddy Guillermo, who's been one of my best friends, and then my other buddy, whose name is Zamez. He used to play football at Gilbert. But we were there, and me and my buddy Zamez were talking about who would win in a one-on-one. We tried to get some, an exterior opinion. So who do I go to? Coach Elliott.
Okay.
So we both go out to Coach Elliott. I said, Coach Elliott, I got a question for you. He goes, all right, what's the question? I said, who would win in a 1v1? He goes, who are we talking about? I said, I point at me and Zamez. He goes, you two? I said, yes. He goes, and he points at him. He goes, I'm taking him. I'm like, why? And he goes, well, first of all, he said he doesn't have fat ankles like you.
Just roasted.
And then my two buddies just start dying laughing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so I told him, I said, are you calling me fat? He goes, no, you're not fat at all. You just have fat ankles.
He said, your ankles are. Yes,
And
not you, just your ankles.
And I said, wow. I said, okay. And so I said, now I feel like I need to prove myself. So we decided, I told him, I said, okay. I said, I'm going to run a couple routes. He goes, well, regardless, he goes, between you and him, I'm not drafting you.
Run all the routes you want, kid.
You're not changing my mind.
So I run a few routes, and the first route I run, I actually was wide open. And in the middle of me changing direction, I fall on my face.
Oh, no.
That's not going to do you any favors.
Oh, no.
I'm afraid that's not going to do you any favors.
I was not very happy because I would have caught that ball.
Don't want to see that on tape. Don't want to see that on
Thankfully,
tape.
no one posted that. But they posted
As far as you know.
Someone might have
As
it.
far as you know.
There's
cameras in the building.
You might be
There
getting
were a lot of
blackmailed with that
cameras in the
footage.
building,
Yeah,
actually.
there's cameras in it. It could have been one of those things like those movies where like the crime happens in somebody's video behind, like just like the tourist video. Like then later they find out that's what it is. Somebody was just shooting something else, and then like, oh man, who's that tall kid that fell?
Hey, I also think it's worth noting I took some reps at DB as well.
How'd that go?
Yeah, did you fall?
I didn't fall. I didn't give up a single. Actually, that's a lie. I gave up one catch.
Okay, I didn't fall, but
I gave up one catch,
I stumbled.
and it was on the fifth rep. So the first four were incomplete passes.
Okay, well, that's good.
Those are stats. Yeah.
Good.
So if Clayton White is listening, if you
I don't think he is. Well, he might be listening.
if you need an
He
eight,
probably stopped listening after he heard Sean Elliott evaluate your ankles.
Sean's talking
well,
about
I
your
actually had the
ankles.
chance to talk to him today as well. So if you're listening,
At least he didn't rag on your body. So there's
he
that.
didn't. He didn't. If you're listening and you
That's
need
a
an
win.
8-string corner, I'm your guy.
Good stuff. Well, keep at it, man. Keep at it. Just keep living the dream. That's all.
Maybe I can be a 7th-string guy one day.
No, you just have to take the Elijah Campbell path and try to be a coach.
Yep. These are the only options provided us now, brother. I'm afraid to break it to you.
I can see Sean saying that too.
Does Does being a high school lacrosse coach count as following his path?
No. Elijah got to call a play in a Southeastern Conference spring game. You got a
It's on the
long way to
resume.
go, man.
It was
point, it's the only thing
worth
on
a
the
shot. It
You
was
got
worth a
a
shot.
long way to go. Got a long way to go. But we're pulling for you. You're here. You're just starting out, so you're
Love-
good. All right,
love the
Top
support.
5 Friday. Top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. So we got a slew of your responses on the text line. So Elijah's just
Yes.
going to roll through some of these.
A lot of popular ones. James says Jaws,
Sure.
Cujo,
Yeah.
The Ghost in the Darkness,
Okay.
Willard, and Arachnophobia.
Willard.
Willard's been on here a couple times,
don't
but
know.
I have not.
It sounds like a
not
movie with a
familiar.
rat. Willard.
One person says the rat movies, Willard and Ben.
Okay, so Willard is a rat.
I
thought-
can't say I'm familiar with the films in question.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Willard, a 1971 horror film. Yep, rats. Oh, that sounds terrible. So yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds horrible, actually.
Now, Michael Butler says Lake Placid ×5.
Okay.
Again, we thought maybe that's just a movie about the Soviet Union hockey team coming to Lake Placid to get embarrassed by a bunch of college kids from
But-
America.
Instead, do we know what the animal in question is?
I do not.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Willard. I'm reading about Willard right now. That sounds horrible.
Now, Ted in Lexington has a very detailed list.
Okay.
Ted says Jaws, the ocean was never the same after sneaking in as a kid.
Amen.
2, The Ghost in the Darkness, and Lions. Number 3, 1997, The Edge, bear movie with Anthony Hopkins. Number 4, 1976, Grizzly, another bear movie. And then at 5, 1978, The Swarm, Killer
Ooh,
Bees.
The Swarm. I remember. Yeah, I saw The Swarm as a
He's
kid.
not talking about
I saw The Swarm.
BGO, Berkman, and Bagwell.
Yeah.
Different killer bees.
I saw The Swarm as a kid. What year was that? Like 80 something?
He says 78.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I was little. I remember seeing that. I probably didn't see it in the theater. We might have seen that. Might have been one, VHS or something. But I remember The Swarm. Yeah.
Bees can be terrifying.
Yeah.
We did have one comment. This is from David. This was the first one's a joke. He says, "My girl, the bee." He says, "Just kidding."
Okay. Funny.
I mean, the bee, it did its job. I guess.
That's fair.
And then Night of 1,000 Cats. Never heard. of
Ooh, I don't know, but see, that sounds just all. Even if the cats are just sitting there doing nothing,
Even
like
if they're
cats
normal
typically
cats,
do.
yeah. 1,000
Yeah, that
cats.
sounds-
That's a lot of cats.
Well, again, that comes back around to one that's going to be on my list that no one has said.
you know it smells crazy in there.
Lake Placid is definitely some type of crocodile reptilian something or other in Lake Placid.
Okay.
Yeah. So it looks scary.
A very unique one here. Chris says Piranha, Cujo,
Yeah.
Rogue, Arachnophobia, and Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web's not scary.
I don't know what he's scared
It's
of. in
sad.
Charlotte's Web. Very sad.
It's very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah.
Teared up.
Yeah,
reading
it's
that as a
actually
fourth
it's
grader.
very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah. So in that respect, I got you. All right, you got a couple more you want?
And then Chris does go on to say no hamstring tear, but torn rotator cuff, labrum, and severed bicep tendon, which required orthopedic surgery and painful therapy.
Ouch, man.
Yeah, that makes me feel better about mine. That's for sure.
I don't know who this person's name is, but it's the handle is fun. Gamecock Beer says Jaws, Lake Placid, Arachnophobia, The Birds, and The Gray. He says not necessarily scary, but just a good movie. We've had a few of those.
A few.
Yeah.
Now, one that I've never heard of, this is an unnamed texter here, says Jaws, Cujo, Arachnophobia,
Okay.
Piranha 3D, specifically 3D.
3D, sure, yeah. Well, those little things come right at you.
And then a movie called Thanksgiving, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say involves a killer turkey.
Oh my God! Thanks. I've never heard of that one either.
Thanksgiving.
If you said
Now
to
you have this has gotten my attention and my curiosity.
if you said to me like, what's the least threatening animal you can think of? Like I think of the killer rabbit in Holy Grail. You know,
Yeah,
He's
right.
got
Yes.
huge teeth.
Now we've got 3 straight texts back to back.
Yes,
Donnie, Scott, and someone else is-
Thanksgiving is a 2008 American comedy slasher film. It's basically a spoof, but yes, a group of college students are terrorized by a killer-possessed turkey.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That sounds fun. All right, we'll give you ours. We have Drive Around the SEC, a little CWS preview, and the recap of what happened in Asheville with the CFP meetings. Spoiler alert, nothing. Guys, not feeling like yourself as you get a little bit older? You're wondering why? Don't wait for it to change. Don't wait for it to go away, because chances are pretty good that it's not going to change or go away. Instead, you need to see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the men's clinic. You'll sit down with Dan, get a one-on-one consultation that gets to the root of the issues that have been bothering you. And they could be multiple things at this point in your life, right? But you want to get back to feeling the way you used to. You say, can I? Yes. Yes, you can. There is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the men's clinic. Instead, they are medical experts in healthcare for men dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. So don't be embarrassed by some of the things that could be troubling you. Don't think you're alone when those things happen, because you're not, and you don't have to be embarrassed. And make sure that you're the guy that does go to the doctor instead of saying, well, my dad and granddad never went. Why should I go? 803-875-MENS. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. See Dr. Dan Balknight and the men's clinic.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with 4 accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon, starting with one on Boiling Springs Road near South Carolina 6 at South Lake Drive, Colonial Drive at Hardin Street, Long Green Parkway at Clemson Road, and lastly, we have one reported about 40 minutes ago at US 176 at Broad River Road near Piney Grove Road.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Friday. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. Kale's hanging out with us here, too. And again, got a few more minutes to send in your choices for top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. And again, we're not harsh and strict on this when it comes to real animals. Again, I'm allowing Gremlins for a couple of you because really I can't make you change it. But I'm not really allowing it either.
Well, that's a rule of the show, too. It's like one of those, baseball has unwritten rules. We have an unwritten rule that if Brad Muller says that, we can't contest it.
Yeah. I mean, luckily for any of you that said Gremlins beyond Brad, Brad got you in. So thank Brad.
Yeah, thank Brad.
So hit up Brad on SCBrad92 on Twitter and say, thanks, Brad.
Gremlins are basically Furbies with sentience.
That's right.
So I guess there's a connection.
Until I don't know what that is they turn into, man, but then it gets different. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Real quick.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
And I think Brad described it pretty accurately. It goes from cute to disturbing or scary.
I remember seeing that in the theater, man, and I was probably, Brad and I are the same age, so he knows. I was like, oh, well, that's not good.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. So, because it does, man. You're like, oh, look at that. That's nice.
A lot of comments on here about the birds recently. In the last segment, we have about 3 entries of the birds. I have yet to see that movie.
Well, I'm just going to give you a little insight into my top 5 list. It made it. My wife won't watch that movie.
Really?
That's how much it disturbs her. She won't watch it. I love Hitchcock movies because they're not. Even Psycho, which is obviously the most famous one, even Psycho is not what I would call, and I know you're going to go, Jay, have you seen the shower scene? But
yes,
it's not like Hitchcock has even, I say he's even said, he needed to make that point. Otherwise, his movies don't do that.
They're more psychologically terrifying.
And even that name, suggests, but it had to be shown of just how violent Norman Bates could get. Otherwise, most Hitchcock movies he's not in it for the violence. He's in it to make your brain hurt in a scary, thoughtful way. Yeah, it's definitely, Rear Window and things like that, But the birds, man, it's
might watch that tonight. I think
it's intense, man.
I think my brother's got that in his 1,000 movies.
As they said back in that day, it's a scene, man.
It's a scene. Well, if it's a movie, I assume it's multiple scenes.
It is.
A lot of them.
But, and you're just kind of like, da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. This is a nice little seaside town. And then it's not.
It's owned by birds.
So, enjoy it, man. But my wife won't watch it.
Interesting.
She won't watch it. I promise you. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Coastal Carolina and LSU. So we do have a little SEC in this one, the 13 overall national seed versus the number 6. That's Coastal, the 13. But as Mitch Light of The Athletic told us earlier, I agree with him, man. If this Coastal baseball team, as currently constructed from a pure talent and coaching perspective, has South Carolina on the front, or Clemson on the front, or Arkansas, or Georgia, or Tennessee on the front, they hosted their super regional. I'm not telling you they're number 1 or anything like that, but they hosted their super regional. The reason they didn't is because they're in the Sun Belt Conference. And I get that. I'm not here to say it's right, it's wrong. It's just it is. That's why they're the 13. But they are every bit as good and talented. And you've seen that now. I mean, you and I, we keep, I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back here because we're far from alone. But, I will say, I thought Florida, the way Florida was playing, could go to Conway and win. But when Florida got beat by ECU and kind of dug themselves a hole, meanwhile, Coastal was like, all right, we're good. Okay, bang, there it was. I thought Florida could go win that. But once Coastal drew with Auburn in Auburn, you and I were like right away, Coastal's going to go there and win. Yeah. They're going to win. And now here they are, still haven't. I mean, they've now won 26 straight baseball games. LSU's uber talented. And I don't know who's going to win. I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction because I think this is an even matchup. What I hope is that you and I are back here this time on Monday talking about Game 3. That's kind of what I hope.
Yeah, to get a winner take all.
I like that. But beyond that, I'd like to see Coastal win this weekend. I got no problem with that.
And like listening to how Mitch kind of analyzed the matchup, where Coastal doesn't have like a particular edge over LSU, but there's just nothing they're really bad at. Like that's the thing. There's nothing that you can identify as a weak link because everybody in that lineup's hitting right now. And I know LSU maybe top to bottom has more power in the bats, but you're getting a confidence in this Coastal Carolina lineup right now where every single person that goes up to plate knows they're going to hit the ball. They don't think they're going to hit the ball. They know they're going to hit the ball or they're going to get on base. Like they do a lot of the little things that help you overachieve no matter what your roster looks like. You don't swing at bad pitches. You draw walks. If the ball is coming your way, you make sure that you get hit and you get yourself to first base. You have a catcher in Caden Bodine, who's one of the best in the country and is definitely the best in the country at framing pitches. So you win a lot of the umpire stuff, right? Sometimes people complain about, umpire calling balls and strikes and how that may cost you a runner at first or a strikeout. Well, Coastal seems to win those because they have a catcher that helps dictate that and make their own luck.
Veteran team, well coached. Again, ultimate belief in themselves. 26 wins in a row tells you all you need to know. Tomorrow, game 1, LSU as the higher seed will be the home team. That's tomorrow night at 7 on ESPN. Sunday's game 2 is at 2:30, and that's going to be on ABC. And then if there is a game 3, it would also be Monday night at 7 o'clock on ESPN. So I don't know, man. I suppose my gut tells me LSU has earned the right to be the favorite. That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. But not going to be surprised at all. And there's a part of me that just says Coastal's going to keep winning. I don't know.
They've got that juice.
But I think this is a coin toss.
And a lot of these type of deals too, a lot of teams that are in Coastal's position, even if they've been like underseeded, the teams that come from the Sun Belt that end up or other smaller conferences that get into these type of tournaments, they might say publicly that they never felt like they were an underdog.
Right.
But this Coastal team, like they say it, and you know it. You believe it.
Right.
You know that nobody on that team expects to lose any game they play against anyone. And as much as nationally some might want to portray this as some type of David versus Goliath type matchup, it really isn't, because everybody on that team fully believes in their abilities to where they believe they could have been in the SEC and competed for that title.
I had a buddy of mine. Yeah, I agree. I had a buddy of mine ask me the other day, because Coastal was 26-4.
26-4 in the league.
Yeah. He asked me, what do you think they would have been in the SEC, just conference? And I said, probably like 18-12 or something like that. This team is just so good. It's hard to just go win a whole mess of games, even when Texas was doing great. And then Texas kind of hit a mini wall, at least.
They peaked early.
Yeah.
That's his team. That's a team that.
So I'm not going to sit here and say, Coastal would have been 25-5 or 24-6 or no, because that's so difficult to do in the Southeastern Conference.
That would have broken a record.
Yeah,
if they would have done that, they would have had the greatest season.
But I could absolutely see this same Coastal team going through 30 games in the SEC and winning 17-20 of them. Absolutely could.
Which would have been good enough for them to host.
Oh, they'd have been
a national
they'd have been a top
seed.
8.
Yeah, they'd been top 8.
They'd have been a top 8. And that's kind of to Mitch's point. All right, that's our drive around the SEC. As mentioned, we were going to talk about the CFP meetings in Asheville. Here's what happened. All right, that's our report on these CFP meetings in Asheville.
It's like that scene in Nathan For You, where he has the guy on the boat and he's got the big old platter there and he says, I hope you're hungry for nothing. And that's exactly the summary of the CFP meetings in Asheville.
All right, we'll get a few more Top 5 Friday entrants from you guys. Top 5 scariest movies involving real animals. And Elijah and I will give you our choices. And I got one that nobody said. And I'll tell you why. I won't even watch it again either. Kind of like my wife with the birds. I'm not going to watch it again. That's how much I don't like it. This is the postgame show. All right, welcome back in. Final few minutes on this Friday. Jay and Elijah with you. Kale's hanging out with us. Happy first day of summer. Happy birthday, Jaws. Happy birthday, Lionel Richie. Not scary at all. Quite the contrary.
No, absolutely not scary. Beautiful
76
voice.
years old is the amazing Lionel Richie. Man, that dude in the 80s, he just became like, I think it was pretty much like Michael Jackson and Madonna and Lionel Richie. Like he owned the 80s.
And then he reincarnated into being Danny Green. If you've seen those two in the room at the same time, probably not.
All right, you want
second career as a basketball.
I got our boy John. That's our I say our regular guy John, but that seems too, informal for John. So John hits us 5 snakes on a plane. 4 Jumanji. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I get
see it.
I get it.
I see it. There are some scenes.
There are, man. Those elephants and stuff like that's like that'll rock your world a little bit. I get that. 3 arachnophobia. 2 Jurassic Park. John, because we love you, we're going to let you say Jurassic Park because otherwise we would have put it in ours. Again, they were real animals. They are not currently of the earth.
Haven't been for a while.
Yeah, that was kind of our thing, is currently of the earth. But we're going to give John a pass just like we gave Brad a pass for Gremlins because they're contributors to the program. So we'll do that for you. I do love Jurassic Park, though. I love
Fantastic.
original Jurassic Park. Not a big fan of any of the other ones. I love original Jurassic Park. It is fantastic. And the number one that he has on his list is Jaws. All right. You want to do yours?
Absolutely.
Okay, you go.
All right. So we'll go from 5 to 1,
All right.
as I so often like to do.
All right.
Jaws at number 5.
Yep.
Cujo at number 4.
Okay.
The idea of a beloved family pet becoming your adversary is heartbreaking.
Yep.
3, Pet Cemetery.
Okay.
Your dead beloved pet coming back, even scarier. 2, Cocaine Bear. And number 1, Anaconda. Terrified of snakes. Absolutely terrified.
Well, again,
Can't
you should be more afraid of Cocaine Bear because if Cocaine Bear starts chasing you with your currently injured hamstring, you are Cocaine Bear lunch.
Oh, I would be Cujo
Cocaine
lunch.
Bear
I
2.
would be Anaconda lunch. I would be insert animal here that we're all terrified of. I ain't making it out anywhere, man. If any of those critters come into this building, I am done for. It was nice knowing all of you.
All right. Well, my 5 and 4 are just like you. Number 5, Jaws, and number 4, Cujo. I saw Cujo. I think I've told this story. A babysitter who was probably in college at the time, I don't remember her name, took me and a friend to see Cujo when it came out.
Oh, great idea.
I think we were like 11 or 12.
Fantastic idea.
Didn't even really know what it was that we were going to see.
Probably thought it was some cute dog movie.
Well, I don't know, man, but it wasn't.
Clearly. Clearly not.
Number 3, Piranha. I'm telling you, I remember seeing Piranha in the theater as well. And I know it's Jaws-ish in terms of killer fish, but instead of a giant shark, it's like lots and lots of tiny little, mean fish.
It's like a bunch of little mini sharks.
But it got intense. Number 2 is The Birds.
Okay, classic.
For the reasons that were explained earlier. And again, Elijah's going to watch it, so I expect a full review. Number 1 is a movie from the 70s that I saw at a church lock-in in the 80s called Frogs. And it's basically like this old dude who's mean as hell, and he hates the environment, and his property is full of chemicals and whatever. Long story short, all the animals kill his family, like alligators and snakes, and then it's just him. And there's like 10,000 frogs in his house.
That's a lot of frogs.
And then that's basically how the movie ends, man. It's like that's all you.
The
it's
frogs
just,
have at 'em.
It's just him and like 10,000 frogs, and it freaked me the bleep out, my man.
That's an interesting premise.
Never watch that one again. Y'all have a great weekend.
That's so many frogs.